There's a guy who used to work on CNN, and he got fired from CNN because it turns out he was conspiring with his brother to try and manipulate the news cycle, because it turned out his brother was a lousy governor of New York who sent people who actually had COVID, healthy people with COVID, into nursing homes, thereby killing off a whole generation of elderly. It was horrible, horrible, horrible stuff. But Chris Cuomo was trying to manage it. Yeah, manage it for his brother. It's such a huge conflict of interest. Anyway, he found some new job at some new network, and here he is trying to blame, gosh, Benny made it into the show twice today. My friend Benny, right? He's trying to blame Benny and anybody on the right, any podcaster on the right that would actually defend Charlie. He's like, no, you guys are the problem. Listen to this. This guy needs to be fired again. Okay, he was fired from CNN, and I want him fired again. He has no business being in any kind of journalistic business.
I don't really care how we got here so much. There is a lot of blame to go around.
Blame to go around. Okay, here we go.
I do not see you guys as victims.
Whoa. I do not see you guys as victims. I don't see you, Benny, as victim. I don't see your friend Charlie as a victim. I don't see anybody in the conservative world as a victim after somebody was just assassinated. I mean, are you kidding me, Chris Cuomo? You really, really, really need to get fired again. It gets worse, okay? It gets worse. Stay with me.
Give as good as you get.
You give as good as you get. Oh, please. Please.
There is a lot of anger. There is a lot of exaggeration. It is all hate for profit on the fringe of this battling binary political system. My question is now what?
Yeah, Benny's like, what did I just walk into? Let's keep going.
Charlie Kirk has never advocated violence ever. Charlie Kirk was only
a
nonviolent, peaceful debater. He went into places where he knew he was hated in order to engage.
I agree.
Kindly and humanly
that
with people.
He was not.
No. You don't agree, Chris Cuomo. By the way, he's not a very smart guy. It's clear that not all the neurons are connecting, because he just said, you guys aren't the victims here. You give as good as you get. I mean, he literally just said that. Let's keep going.
You to say that it's the same thing.
Oh, hold on.
It's not, Chris.
Hold on. I'm not talking about it with Charlie. Benny, don't play games with me.
That's a Bill O'Reilly classic. So he has Bill O'Reilly on his show occasionally, and Bill loves to say that. So he's been taking lessons from Bill O'Reilly because he stinks as a commentator. He has not a lot of brain cells going on up there. He now finds himself in an argument with Benny Johnson that he's never, ever, ever, ever going to win. And so he resorts to, let me channel Bill. What would Bill O'Reilly do? Bill O'Reilly would say, hey, this is exactly what's going on.
I'm giving you latitude because you deserve it, because this was your friend, and this is scary, and it hurts, and it could have just as easily been you.
The dehumanization is wrong. It's wrong. And
There's no question, but Benny,
you'll never be able to chew me out, Chris, because I'll never dehumanize.
Benny,
if I hear that Joe Biden gets a terminal cancer diagnosis, I'll say a prayer for him. I'll say that I hope he lives the rest of his days painless. That's exactly what I said, and every person that I know and respect, and I know them all in my ecosystem, said the same thing. Not a single one of us celebrated. Not a single one of us celebrated Joe Biden's terminal cancer diagnosis. Now, I can show you a endless series of TikToks and celebration posts and T-shirts made celebrating this travesty. There is a fundamental difference of those who glorify death on the left, and it is demonic, it's sick, and it's dark, and it needs to be.
All right, but
it needs to be disavowed.
Benny, I hear you.
No, you don't. You don't hear anything. I mean, you're just bad at your job, and you're desperate, I guess. So you'll collect your little paycheck over there, and I guess you get some little podcast that nobody watches. But Benny, woohoo, my man, right? Putting him in his place. I can't even be bothered to go on shows like that, because it's like you just can't have an intelligent conversation with somebody like that who frankly just isn't that intelligent. Gary, good to see you. Thank you for the generosity. We got a lot of very generous people here today. Good to see everybody here. Make sure you subscribe, share, like if you have not. We have so much to get to. This is a very, very big show because I'm telling you, a lot of changes coming. A lot of changes coming. But before we get to all that change, here's my question. Who the heck is texting stuff like this? Roommate and his, significant other. Who texts stuff like they did? The FBI, and I've got very, very good sources at the FBI, and I spoke with somebody pretty high up recently, and this person told me that, they're looking into everything. By the way, congrats to the FBI, for goodness sakes. I mean, what an amazing job. It was like 33 hours, and they got the guy, right? And as I understand it, not everybody wanted to release the photo, but thank goodness you got Cash and Dan there who had the common sense to say, let's get this photo out and make sure, because somebody's going to recognize him, right? So excellent job by the FBI. But here's my question. And I think that it's fair to say, and I know this from sources, that the roommate's not out of the woods yet. I know that there's, he's cooperating, whatever. But again, I get back to this. This guy, Tyler Robinson, was allegedly pretty smart, right? I mean, not even allegedly. He got a 4.0, graduated from school with a 4.0, got a 36 or a 34 on his ACT. I mean, I speak in SAT terms because, I am from the Northeast and we take SATs here. That would be like a 1550 on an SAT. So he's no dummy. So why would somebody who is absolutely not a dummy actually confess in a text message unless that person wanted to make sure that the feds found it and to make sure that the roommate was somehow never implicated in any of this? Because the roommate is like, wait, what? You did it? Wait, why? Blah, 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 blah. So I just think that is peculiar and strange. And I think there's a reason this roommate is not out of the woods. Apparently the roommate is cooperating. But then again, what is this text message about? Who would send a text message like that saying, okay, I got to get my gun, I this, that, and I did it. I had a chance to take him out, so I decided to do it. This is kind of unbelievable, all right? I don't think a smart person with the kind of scores that this guy had and the intellect that he supposedly had would actually be sending out text messages like that, right? I mean, what 4.0 student with high ACTs be sending this out? He writes, telling this guy, make sure you delete this exchange. And since, Trump's gotten into office, my dad loves him, blah, blah, blah. So, my dad could turn me in. It's going back and forth. That the feds are going to find that. So is this all about making sure that you protect the roommate so that the roommate is basically out there free and clear? Saying, how long have you been planning this? Why did you do this? Etc. I mean, those are not normal reactions. If you found out someone did that, I mean, you'd be horrified. There might be some crying emojis and you might go straight to the police, right? I don't think that you're going to see a text exchange like that. So that has my antenna up. And I do know that authorities are looking really hard at him, as they should, right? The FBI is looking at this roommate and they're paying attention to just exactly what he did or did not do. And, this is him. His name is Lance Twiggs. So he is a person of interest. And, unfortunately for him, if he had nothing to do with it, he's going to still go down in history. His name, his picture, it's all there, right? Because you were the roommates or romantic love interest of the guy who took out Charlie Kirk. There are a lot of questions. And many people believe that this was not something that was planned and orchestrated all by one person, Tyler Robinson. They actually believe that there may have been a whole lot more people involved. I mean, we're talking upwards of 20. I played you a soundbite yesterday from the hearing with Kash Patel, and you had Josh Hawley, the senator, asking him about this, and he said, yeah, it could be 20 more. Here's another soundbite. This is Senator Kennedy talking to him, and what you hear is, yes, indeed, that they don't think that he acted alone at all.
Did Mr. Kirk's assassin act alone? As I've said since the beginning, Senator, it is very much an ongoing investigation, and I can't speak to the state charges. That's for the state to address on their own, but we are providing them with the same investigatory findings we're providing the department. And as I noted to Senator, I believe it was Cornyn or Hawley, that there are a number of individuals that are currently being investigated and interrogated, and a number yet to be investigated and interrogated specific to that chat room. So we are very much in our ongoing posture of investigation.
So others could have been involved?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's where we are right now. So possibly a broader network of people that wanted to see Charlie taken out. Again, it came up with Hawley, Senator Hawley asking about this.
Reports have suggested that the FBI is investigating a broader network of groups that may have had some knowledge of the shooter's plans. Can you give us any details on that, following up what you've already said in public? How's the FBI working to find other potential accomplices, folks who may have known about the shooter's plans, folks who may have encouraged him? Any update on any of that?
So in terms of what we do for an interrogation perspective, we go and reach out to the family and community immediately. And we've conducted those investigations and interrogations with local law enforcement, and we're continuing to do that because those closest to the suspect are going to hopefully know the most about the suspect and his beliefs and his ideology. On top of that, unfortunately, it has been leaked that there was a Discord chat, and for those unfamiliar with it, it's a gaming chat room online that the suspect participated in. So what we're doing, we've already done, is serve legal process, not just on Discord, so that the information we gathered is sustained and held in a evidentiary posture that we could use in prosecution should it be decided to do so. And we're also going to be investigating anyone and everyone involved in that Discord chat.
Okay, very good. I see the public reports that the Discord thread had as many as 20 additional users. It sounds like you're trying to run down all of that to see if that's accurate, who else may have been on that thread, what they may have known. Is that fair to say?
And that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, but keep in mind, how difficult this entire process is. It's a lot of work, right? And they're getting a lot of information fed into them. They did an excellent job getting the guy in 33 hours. But again, they're looking at the broader situation. They don't think this is a lone wolf thing. It may have been planned out with some great detail. There's a lot of information online that suggests people knew this was coming. John Solomon has done some reporting on this from Just the News, in which he talks about a specific radicalized group that was living up in the mountains outside Salt Lake City. And Kash Patel was asked by Hannity about this particular group. Let's go to the sound.
John Solomon, who I'm pretty sure you know, had a piece out there about a radicalized group close to the area, up in the mountains. They seem to be very radical with the same agenda. Does that concern you, what you're seeing?
All of it concerns me, Sean, but I can't divulge every investigative step we're taking because I don't want to disclose who we're going after and why we're going after them. Obviously, it's been leaked about this Discord chat, so we're going to discuss it a little bit. But what the FBI does is identify, catalog, and bring in experts. That's what we were doing. Round the clock, flying in people, evidence response teams, hostage rescue teams, special operators on our FBI planes, and transporting evidence back in real time from the crime scene in the West Coast to our labs in Quantico to address the situation of forensics immediately. And you highlighted the screwdriver that was found on top of the roof.
Amazing job. Okay, amazing job by them. But the job's not done yet. The job's not done yet because right now we got a big fear about these radicalized groups. And the FBI, as I said, is looking into some 20 suspects. And, you know, the president weighed in on this. We got a lot of radicalized groups on the left. Let's listen to him here yesterday in the White House.
Your FBI is investigating the potential role of left-wing organizations in the assassination. I'm wondering if you think if Charlie Kirk's assassin worked alone or if he worked with it.
I don't know. I mean, I can tell you he didn't work alone on the internet because it seems that he became radicalized on the internet. That's just by watching the same things that you're watching and hearing. It looks like he became radicalized over the internet. And it seems like his wonderful parents brought in a wonderful neighborhood, smart guy, great boards, great marks, great student. And then something happened to him over a fairly short period of time. Looks like he was radicalized over the internet, and it's radicalized on the left. He's a left. A lot of problems with the left, and they get protected, and they shouldn't be protected. But as you understand, I think very well from the tone of your question. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Wow. 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 So lots of fears about radicalized groups. Again, this YouGov study pointed out that there is some tolerance, shall we say, on the left. On the left, if there's somebody with a different political ideology, they have some tolerance for violence. Now, the majority of Americans, okay, so we should take heart in this, the majority of Americans don't believe this, and they don't believe that anybody should be killed, like duh, because of their political beliefs. But take a look, when you look inside these numbers, and this is what we were talking about earlier with the CNN guest who just destroyed the anchor on this, it's because the political ideology has more tolerance, if you would, amongst some of the very liberal and the liberal, and then, no tolerance once you get to the conservative group. And so this is a real concern, like how many kids are being radicalized and what has happened to them. And who's doing this, right? Is this foreign money at work? Why are so many young people in America being radicalized? They're talking about going after one George Soros and the NGOs that he funds, because all the money then gets filtered out to some other places. They're concerned that some of the money may have gone to the Salt Lake City group up in the mountains. Let's go back to the hearings for a moment.
I've always said we follow the money. And whether it's tax based on ideology or taxed on institutions of faith or people of faith, someone's paying for it. And we are reverse tracing those steps. We are not stopping at the perpetrator themselves. We are reverse engineering to hold those accountable in our investigations to who funded them and knowingly funded them. And we will bring the appropriate steps against them with our partners at DOJ.
You better believe we will, right? We will bring the appropriate steps. So now we've got to follow all the money and figure out who's involved, because you got problems going on campuses, if you haven't noticed. There's a citizen journalist, David Kayet, who was on Twitter and did this. He went, I guess, to a university in Georgia and was stunned by what he saw just days after the Charlie Kirk situation. I mean, it breaks your heart. Watch. Unfortunately, I don't think we had sound on that one. I don't think the sound came through. But what he was saying was that there was effectively propaganda there that was being pushed. Let's see if we can try one more time, because it's worth hearing. If not, I'll show you tomorrow. But he basically went out to this campus in Georgia, and he discovered that there were all these flyers for ending fascism and ending Trump. And so the question then becomes, who's funding those groups on campuses all across America, right? Who is that? And look, a lot of members of Congress, including our friend Ana Paulina Luna, the representative out of Florida, is saying that it's coming from foreign governments. She specifically cited the guy that you're looking at right there, who the New York Times did a huge expose on just a couple of years ago. He's married to the woman who started Code Pink. His name is Neville Singman, and she's requesting that he come and testify. Apparently he lives in China now, so that's kind of hard to do. But she's saying, look, foreign governments are funding operations on college campuses to promote this political violence. And this is what Charlie was trying to combat in his own way, to say, hey, you know what? We can have conversations, real conversations. And he wanted to be out there in front of this. And so there may have been people that didn't want him, right, to be out there doing this. According to this article, well, it's not just that article, so it's not just the New York Times. It was also the Daily Beast that wrote about the U.S. tech mogul bankrolling pro-Russia, pro-China news networks. I mean, this was his business. He's out there and, with Code Pink Lady, trying to engage in what the New York Times called a smokeless war. Under the rule of Xi Jinping, China has expanded state media operations, teamed up with overseas outlets, and cultivated foreign influencers. The goal is to disguise propaganda as independent content. But what is it? It's propaganda. And so the Times investigation found that Mr. Sigmund had quite a role in all this. He had a lot of Chinese propaganda interests that he was out there perpetuating and supporting financially. Now, he has said, No, not the case. He said, quote, I categorically deny and repudiate any suggestion that I am a member of, work for, or take orders from any, or follow instructions from any political party or government or their representatives. I am solely guided by my beliefs, which are my long-hold personal beliefs. Of course, is he getting paid? I mean, isn't this part of his business to actually push this stuff? According to the article, he married this code pink lady, Jody Evans. And apparently she used to be like anti-China because of the Uyghurs. But then, when she married him and she suddenly changed her mind. They had some kind of who's who of progressivism at their wedding in Jamaica, including they had the co-founder of Ben & Jerry's. One of those guys just quit, just resigned. He doesn't like that Unilever is trying to tell him what to do. They started as a little company. He's a communist that somehow made millions, billions probably off of that business. Anyway, this is the concern, right? He's got a company called NewsClick. And basically, they sprinkle all these Chinese government talking points all over their videos. And they have all ways of cross-posting these videos, etc., to try and perpetuate a worldview out there that would be pro-China and would sow discord amongst the U.S. and the U.S. citizens. And so the fear at this point is that the PSL group, which is backed by him and is a communist organization, that's actually receiving tons of money through him, and he's channeling that for negative purposes. I mean, I know that people look at Soros as well and say, what is he doing with his money? But one of the concerns here, according to an interesting Twitter account, which I encourage you guys to follow, Data Republican, is that National Network on Cuba has a member of U.S. organizations that readers of my feed, she writes, will find familiar, including Code Pink, right? The one that Jody runs. She's married to Neville. Alliance for Global Justice, Democrats, Socialists for America, and here we go, Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. So that's the group that they're suddenly focused on, because if you go onto Twitter, apparently a lot of people were talking about Charlie Kirk almost in the past tense before it happened. And there were some music things. I mean, we talked about that the other day on the show, that there were some songs with really horrific titles that seemed to suggest people knew things before they happened. Here's their logo, again, Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. And it's now being looked at. Sources can confirm that this is a group that is being investigated. The Washington Examiner did a story on them. We also see that the New York Post has done a story. The New York Post is looking at this as well, and sources are confirming to the New York Post that, in fact, this is a group that is being examined. And I quote, the feds have widened their investigation into the assassination of Charlie Kirk to determine whether any of these groups, online groups, had any connection with him. And that's the big question right now. Apparently, Armed Queers did take down all of their social media. I went looking for it myself just yesterday. All of it was wiped out. All of it was gone. But you know what? That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, because somebody's going to get it. If it's online once, it's there forever. Again, I hate reading this stuff because it's so tragic. But this is the article in the New York Post where they've been citing these internet sleuths online and showing these disturbing messages, because the day before the shooting, there was a post that was made saying, I hope that he's evaporated. And then somebody followed it with something big is going to happen. So there were these threats out there online. And now the question becomes, how credible were those? And is there some other group that maybe was getting financing from enemies of America? I mean, look, we're all adults here. And I think that you got to take all of this into question. It's the reason why people were worried about TikTok, right? Being run by China, because, just look at the things that we saw on TikTok. It's just atrocious. I'm not showing any of those things here. Trust me. But the sentiment that somehow that this was justified or okay is pretty awful. Think about the Oxford guy, right? Who ran the debate team, who debated Charlie, for goodness sakes. And he actually said, in some cases, these institutions, they're so arcane that you actually need to resort to violence to take them down. He believed in that. That is a viewpoint of extremism. Like, that is never, ever where we want to be. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger gets that. Let's go to Arnold, because Arnold, he's setting the record straight here. Arnold Schwarzenegger's impressing me a lot lately. I know he's had his problems in the past, but you know what he said? How sad he was, because this should never be the way, right? Like, we have a wonderful, wonderful country, and we need to keep it that way. Our freedom of speech is everything. It is the First Amendment, and just because you don't agree with someone doesn't mean you do this. Here is Mr. Schwarzenegger.
Very upset that someone's life was taken because they have a different opinion. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, this was a great communicator, a great advocate for the right, for Republican causes. And he had such a great way of communicating with the students that agreed or disagreed with him. And I just thought about, it's a human being. A human life is gone. And he was a great father, a great husband. And I was thinking about his children. They will only be reading about him now, instead of him reading to them bedtime stories. I mean, it's just unbelievable of what is going on. So I was shocked when I saw this, as we all were.
Yeah. I was shocked. Arnold was shocked. We were all shocked, and we all are asking the same questions, like, how could this have happened? Who is funding this? Who are the radical groups allowing for this on college campuses? I believe we do now have the audio I wanted to show you from this independent reporter, David Kayet, I believe is his name, and he was in Georgia out there trying to figure out how it is that so soon after a tragedy you would see something like this. Let's watch.
We're here at Georgia Tech University in Atlanta, Georgia, and the first thing I see when I come to the campus is the fall of the Trump fascist regime beginning November 5th, 2025. RefuseFascism.org needs to be investigated. 2028 is way too late. Trump must go now. If you walk with me here, we have another sign. This is the scary part. The time has come for the fall of the Trump fascist regime, beginning November 5th. No, in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. All over the campus, similar signs. No, in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. RefuseFascism.org, followed by a sign that we already read. This is happening all over this campus. So you got to ask yourself, when you see posters like this nonstop, what are they advocating for? Are they inciting certain events that we have seen recently? The time has come for the fall of the Trump fascist regime. The time has come. I want to say that again. The time has come. That is what left-leaning organizations on college campuses at Georgia Tech are propagating to college students. So when I walk around and I ask students, do you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk? And they say no, it's most likely because of stuff like this.
I mean, I'm blown away. I don't know how anybody could be so desensitized that they wouldn't condemn this. And, you know, something's going on, okay? Something's going on. And we, as Americans, as adults, have a responsibility to do a better job guiding our kids and to get all of this craziness out of there. I mean, you just can't have this kind of negativity in the educational system. You can't have it in our society. So there's going to be a lot of work that is done.